One click, one swipe, and suddenly the box is at your door. We have started to shop not because we need something, but because it's readily available and so easy. And this video isn't about shaming anyone or making anyone feel bad about purchasing things, because it's quite clear that there are things that we need. Millions of Americans and people worldwide are buying things that are just putting them into debt, and they're wondering at the end of the day, why did I do it? So today I'm diving into shopping addiction, and I came across a YouTuber that inspired me to do this video. So I will put a link to her channel in my description box, because I too struggle a bit with shopping addiction, buying useless crap that they don't need or things that they don't even want, but they were somehow coerced into buying. Because let's face it, the internet has become savvy at getting us to click on ads and to add to cart. Have you ever noticed how easy it is these days to just click add to cart? 1 second you're scrolling TikTok or browsing Amazon, and the next a package is on your door, and it feels harmless at first, fun even. But here's the truth, that convenience has quietly created a big problem: shopping addiction. What used to take effort, try to remember QVC or HSN, all those shows I remember had this ticking timer, very similar to what we have today with all of the sales saying, you know, this is going to go off of the sale in 2 minutes. Even with that pressure, I think a lot of us, we didn't need the hassle. And so the only time we really caved was when it was something that was really, really on our wish list, and it just happened to be there on HSN or QVC. And as you know, those channels have ended up on TikTok, which I find alarming, because it's a lot of useless stuff. I mean, it reminds me of all those retailers like Joann's Fabrics and Michael's and Hobby Lobby. And no shade to people who shop there. I understand that there are people who are seamstress, people who do crafts, people who have Etsy shops that use those different retailers. But for like the lay person, like the regular person, that they're not a hobbyist, they're not a person creating art or doing anything like sewing clothes or making any kind of craft. Why go to those stores? There's nothing in there really that's going to make your life better. You know, why do you need a sign at your front door that says home? Or even like some of the things I have here. We all have to think about the purpose of why we're buying things and actually be more thoughtful with some of our purchases instead of just getting it for the sake of getting it. But back to QVC and HSN, that friction used to slow people down. And now a single click on my mouse, there's no thoughts to this, no barriers. It's just a little dopamine rushed package in a 2-day shipping. But let's be real, it's predatory. Algorithms are designed to keep people like you and me scrolling, keeps us locked in online, locked into this notion of spend, spend, spend. And for anyone struggling right now with impulse control or addiction, it's a dangerous setup. I know this because I've been there. I spent years in this cycle of buying, unboxing, give me the 2-day shipping. In fact, I became so weird about it that if they didn't offer the free shipping, I didn't even want it, and now I think the companies have caught on to the shoppers like me and said, give them free shipping every single time, but just make them spend more. And I found myself literally giving into this nonsense where they're like, you have to buy 3 items or purchase $150 in order to get the free shipping. And me struggling for 5 minutes deciding, do I need anything else because I don't want to pay the shipping? It's just, it's absurd. But feeling that rush, right? And then crashing when I realized my bills are this high now. The truth starts to hit, and that high starts to fade, and the debt starts to kick in. So at some point you need to ask, are these things improving my life? Or are they just cluttering my home and my space and draining my bank account? I do realize that people who watch these videos that don't struggle with this, you guys look at us and you probably laugh. But think about it. There's addictions out there for everything. There's all kinds of strange addictions. And so this isn't something to laugh at. This is something you could really, encourage your friends that maybe struggle with this to watch videos like this, to, gain insight into this is a real problem. And because when you realize that that's money, and you take that approach and you start shifting your thinking, and you slowly start to do the math, you'll realize, holy cow, I could literally have saved all that money. I could have invested that money and I would be a millionaire by now. Wouldn't have debt. I wouldn't have a credit card payment every month. I probably wouldn't even have a car payment. You know, there's people that go to the extremes and they need brand new cars. They need all the newest things. I don't think I'm even in that level. I think I just have a problem with seeing useless stuff and saying it's a deal, it's a steal, I should get it. You know, I cave instead of thinking it through. I started to realize most of it wasn't bringing me joy and it's just stuff. This is when my thinking started to shift. I really started looking at things as, does it serve a purpose? Buying fewer, better things, more quality things, the things that truly serve a purpose and will last. It felt more like an investment than just spending on frivolous things. For example, buying cookware that lasts. That's something I really feel is a huge value for people who like to cook. Things that you won't throw out because they don't go bad. This goes for clothing as well. Clothing that feels good, you know, cotton, silk, linen, hemp, clothing that won't fall apart on you versus buying all those trendy pieces of clothing from shops like Shein or Temu. You know, it's sweatshops making them. The threading is loose. The material is bad. The material smells some of the time. So once I've learned that I need to get away from that, like I've had to tell myself, anytime I'm about to give into this trend of buying something that somebody says, I bought this cute outfit from Amazon, just listen to my inner voice saying to myself, remember the last outfit you bought from Amazon that you had to return. They all are bad. And no matter how cute some influencer makes that outfit looks, just remember the quality is always going to be bottom of the barrel, because most Amazon shops are not legit, like huge businesses that has a brand that is identifiable, say the Hermes bag or any of these quality items, and they create knockoffs or dupes of these items. And so the intention is to give you this idea that you're buying something that looks like the real thing, but it's always going to be less quality. Always remember that, and then you will not cave. TikTokers are great at making anything look good, but keep in mind of why they make those things look good. Usually the women that are modeling those things, their proportions are, they're petite, they're small. So anything, you could put a trash bag on somebody that looks really nice, that they have a pretty face and a nice body, and it's gonna look good. But you have to ask yourself, will that look good on me? You also need to be aware of yourself. What do I actually like? You know, some young person advertising and they've just convinced you because they look so great in it, or it fits their personality or their lifestyle. Another thing I ask myself is, how often would I use it? Am I replacing something that's broken or just adding more clutter to my life? Do I already own something similar to this? Am I buying this just to store other stuff in? I remember I went on a bin buying haul, embarrassed to say it. I bought storage bags, bins, under bed storage, all these things, and never stopped to ask myself, why would I need all this storage if I didn't have all this stuff? And am I using this stuff, or am I just hiding it away in these storage bins? And I've made a habit of now looking at my stuff as, do I use it? How often do I use it? And do I even like it? Or was I influenced to buy it? And here's the thing. Guilt and shame is something that is frequent with people who have shopping addictions. And the guilt and shame comes from knowing that you could have made better choices, but you decided to do something that is so reckless, so mindless, that you actually feel disgusted afterwards. I mean, I've even gone into binge eating, ice cream and chips because I feel so bad after a purchase. And that's just like mind-blowing and unhealthy. And I realized this is a problem. And like I said, the whole thing that started me on this journey was this woman's video. She was candid about what she went through and how hard it has been digging herself out of, I don't remember, I don't want to misquote her, but it was a very substantial amount of debt. I'm talking into the hundreds of thousands of dollars That's insane to me. No, I've never gone that far, not even remotely, but I still feel a huge amount of guilt and shame because I could have used that on better things. I could have saved that for my children's future. I could have invested that into something that needs repaired on our house. There's a lot of things that go through your head after you've made these mindless purchases. And the guilt and shame is something we need to address. And I think one of the best ways you can address this is to keep a journal of what you're buying and saying, why did I buy it? What influenced me to buy this? What brought me to the point of thinking I needed this? That's the real thing. You need to get to the bottom of what is driving this. Listen, a lot of times people who buy things usually did not have things when they were kids. That's the reality of it. They were deprived. As kids, usually their parents had very strict rules about what they could purchase, what they could buy, even with their own money. I know for myself, growing up, I always looked at my parents as being frugal and, you know, not wanting to cave and get us things when they could afford things. My mom was a CPA, my stepfather is an electrical engineer, my dad is a businessman. I come from family that could afford things, but yet they were very frugal with their money. You know, my mom bought food at the cheapest places you could in LA at the time, you know, food for less, or, you know, we'd shop at Payless shoe store or anywhere where there wasn't like a high ticket or price tag. And the only time she invested in quality things, like we would go to Montgomery Ward. If you don't know what that was a store around in the 80s. There she would get our jackets for the year or our backpacks or something. But she was very frugal with how she spent her money, which is probably why she did pretty well for herself and ended up living in Orange County for her whole life, you know, aside from us living in the Valley when we were kids. And I think about it now, like looking back at that, I thought I was being deprived when really I was being taught that these things don't really make you a better person. The last part I want to talk about is the fear of missing out. You know, this feeling of limited time offers. We see this a lot on the internet. We see people saying, it's today only, you only have a certain amount of time to buy this product. And I keep thinking to myself, if this product is a good brand, if it's something that has longevity, it'll still be there in 3 months. Remember, it all boils down to those questions, asking yourself, do I really need this? Is this my style? That's another part of it. Not comparing yourself and your life and your likes to other people, but asking, does that really bring a smile to my face? Do I really enjoy looking at it? You wouldn't buy an artwork that you felt was ugly and just didn't make you feel happy looking at it just because it's some designer or some creator or somebody says this is the best artist on the planet. That's all subjective. According to a Capital One survey in 2024, it found that 73% of Americans admit most of their purchases are unplanned. That averages to about $282 per month or $3,381 per year on impulse buys alone. One Reddit discussion points to a staggering figure. Most Americans are spending about $1.2 trillion annually on non-essential items, meaning everything beyond basics like food, water, or shelter. So while Reddit is not an academic source, the claim echoes other observations of widespread overconsumption. But why does this all matter? We have to look at the culture and debt. Consumerism is embedded in American life. The average person spends hundreds, if not thousands annually, often on credit. And like I said at the beginning of this video, some of these impulse buys do bring joy or novelty, but the real cost isn't just money. It's debt, clutter, wasted time, regret, and mental noise. You're not weak or immoral for indulging sometimes, but understand that it's a culture built intentionally to pull your wallet open. Please go ahead and drop your thoughts and comments below. Have a great day and think for yourself.